All right, welcome to the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Broadhead. We started this podcast as a way to create a central resource of the best financial advisor practice growing tips shared by the most outstanding advisors in the industry, of which our guest today is definitely one. These outstanding financial advisors agree to be on the show and provide a ton of value for free, all in the hopes that our audience of mostly financial advisors might learn from their words. So let's try and get today's guest a couple thousand views and listens on this interview. My father was a financial advisor, and financial advisors are the main client we serve. So, my marketing agency's mission is to help every financial advisor grow their business in an effort to help the world become more financially secure. Today, we have the rare pleasure of talking with an incredible financial advisor, Todd Bryant. Todd, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for having me on the show, and happy to be a part of what you're building and growing. I'm a financial advisor in the Orlando area, went to UCF, the same
Go
alma mater
Knights.
as Chris, charge on. And I got started with my practice, best time ever, January 2008. That was just a great year to be a 23-year-old who looked like he was 13, trying to go after business owners and high net worth people, and at a time in which it was one of the worst years ever for financial markets and things. The good thing about that was there was only one way to go up from there, which was up. There was only one way to go, and from there was able to build up the practice. And then today I'm a partner and financial planner practitioner with Signature Wealth Partners, and we've got 2 offices in the Orlando area. I've got 3 business partners, and then we currently have 4 staff people.
Wow. So you weren't tempted just to jump back into grad school at UCF like I did?
No, did not go back into grad school. I 2 days after graduation, they handed me the Series 6 book, which was, I guess, the second test I took after the 215. So yeah, I remember I interned at a company, and then I think graduated on the Saturday, and that Monday they're like, okay, here's the Series 6 book, get to work. So that was kind of my version of grad school, was the 20 tests I actually took between all the designations and the series exams and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you were a braver man than I. I saw all my friends who graduated in 2007 just struggle to find get any traction with anyone. And then, the bottom fell out of the market, and people who had jobs were losing jobs. And I was like, "Yep, grad school it is."
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So,
I was
yeah.
working at a restaurant on the weekends for that most of that first full year in 2008. I would
Yeah.
leave the office Fridays around 4 or so and go work at a local steakhouse Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, just to make ends meet during that time.
Wow. Well, my hat's off to you, sir. You have earned all of the success you have achieved. That's for sure. So I like
Thank you.
to start at the beginning with these interviews and just figure out, like, how did you get interested in the world of finance? What brought you into it?
Yeah, it was actually a conversation with a couple removed family member when I was a sophomore in college, and I was going to school at UCF, and like a lot of college students, really had no idea what I wanted to do. I started to gravitate towards business, and I figured I'd find my way through the business world as that was most attractive to me. And in that conversation, talking about what he did, it turned out he was a financial advisor and offered me for that next summer to go intern with him up in Virginia with Merrill Lynch, and was able to get some firsthand education and knowledge, and look at the business, and started right from the bottom. I was working my way through the copier machine. I learned how to make coffee really well. I learned how to do a lot of the grunt work early on, just to kind of literally work my way from the ground up. And through that, I could see the impact that they could make in sitting in with client meetings. I saw the financial flexibility and freedom that they had, and of course the option to run your own business. As I did several more internships throughout college, I had a last experience with a company that primarily did insurance as an insurance broker dealer, And I also saw through that firsthand the impact that we could potentially make, because I had somebody I met with several times about buying life insurance from me, and he sadly ended up passing away literally with the paperwork sitting on his desk that I had given him to go in and take out a policy. And I got a call from his dad and explained to me what happened. He's like, what is he your client? What do I need to know what he has with you? And I was like, yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't officially a client yet. I gave him the paperwork for him to sign and get back to me, and he never got the paperwork back to me. So just seeing that, I was 22 at the time, and really understanding, wow, these, like, if it's really up to us to be able to help people to make these smart financial decisions, and that was really what started to drive me, and just growing up, seeing other people in different financial situations, and having a drive to help people to make smarter financial decisions and manage their money better was really what pushed me into the career.
Mm-hmm. Great. So you were interested in the subject matter of the job, and you saw how much it helped people to get a better hold on their finances. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
awesome. Yeah. So can you tell us how you got a foothold in this business? You started at, I would argue, the hardest time to start at any job at any time. And you stuck with it, man. That's incredible. How did you how did you get traction? How did you get some momentum here?
Yeah, I was, always a numbers person. And I remember, getting started and seeing the people in my training class, which I think you should be in this career, a numbers person. And it was funny, we would see different people kind of leaving or failing out during those first couple of years. And it's sad to see somebody go, and if they didn't want to, if they wanted to be there. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, my chances of success are that much better now, because I knew that I had like a 1 out of 10 chance of making it. So yeah, during that period of time, I'd say I just kept being consistent. I was tracking my numbers, on a daily basis: how many phone calls did I make, how many referrals did I get, how many meetings did I keep, and there was very, very little success that first year of working at the restaurant on the weekends. I actually failed company minimum. So I actually had to, a job in which I've never had a salary. I actually had to pay money to that company to stay the next year. I had to write them a check of what little money I had just to keep me around. And that second year, I started working with a friend of mine who started mentoring me and coaching me along. And I kind of changed my focus more from the business owners who were struggling very much in 2008 to working with a lot of younger families. And that was something that, really, really stuck with people, was even though, I was younger myself and wanted to have a family, I didn't have one at that point, but being able to work with those younger families, just kind of starting with the foundation and the basics. I was starting to accumulate a lot of clients, not making a lot of money yet because they were young families that didn't have a lot of money for me to manage, but I could just start to get some accounts and get things rolling. And that was able to transition to down the road when they would then refer me to their parents who are about to retire and have a much bigger nest egg they need help managing, or maybe their boss at work, or where they would get promotions or leave their job or start a company. So I just kind of, at the early days, went with the more of the quantity numbers of clients. And then these days, of course, now I've been doing it for over 15 years, look for more of the quality, and a little more picky about who we take on as a client now.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome. So what what kept you going in those early days? I mean, paying back minimums, that's a very tough thing to do, but it sounded like your determination was just unflappable.
Yeah, I look back at it. There's a lot of things that, making the phone calls and the evening meetings and all the networking events and all of that. And I think a lot of, thinking back to just that early on as an intern with that client with the life insurance policy that passed away, like kind of seeing that situation play out, and thinking about that. And yeah, I would always keep, kind of daily reminders to myself in my car, in my closet. I would have my vision statement and kind of my goals. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, I would see those. I would share them with my girlfriend, now my wife, to be able to, keep me accountable there. And Yeah, I don't. It's yeah, every day has its challenges and its struggles, but somehow I was able to just keep it going and stay motivated um keep doing what I was hoping to do, which was to grow a successful career and a clientele and be able to really help people.
Mm, that's awesome. You mentioned you were making a lot of calls, setting up a lot of meetings. It seems these days, cold calling is kind of dead, as far as I can tell. Who were you calling when you were first starting?
A couple of things that I would do that I had success with. I worked with a lot of attorneys, and I still work with a lot of attorneys. And somehow I'm one of the rare people that kind of gets along well with them. And I would make it lists from the Florida Bar Association. And at that time, this was 2007, 2008, so there's more available now than there was before. But it was lists, and in my thought, I was like, okay, the older attorneys already have an advisor, but the younger ones don't have an advisor yet, which was true. And what I was not realizing was because they were also broke and had a lot of student loans and weren't really making that much money the first couple of years. But in my thought, I was like, okay, I'll call them. Now, if you call them between the hours of 8 to 5, there's a gatekeeper that picks up the phone. So I would always call them between 5 o'clock and 6:30 at night because they're usually still working, but the front desk person and their assistant has probably gone home for the night. So then you could get with them directly. And I was able to get a lot of meetings that way. I was calling actually a lot of restaurants because I worked at a restaurant myself and I was familiar with them. And I was like, you know what, those restaurant general managers, the GMs made pretty decent money. No advisor was calling them. I've got all the phone numbers of the restaurants. So I would just basically like, yeah, if you remember International Drive, like the tourist area in Orlando, I
Hmm.
literally was like calling, and there's, I don't know, 100 restaurants right there. So I was just calling all those restaurants and just going to see the general manager. And I would always see him between 2 and 4 when the restaurant was slow. I could always get a hold of them, and yeah, they didn't have advisors, and they were making pretty decent money, and normally like married with kids, that type of thing. So um, those are two examples. I was making 200 calls a week, so I have tons of other examples, but those are the first two that come to mind.
Hmm. Wow. So did restaurant managers and lawyers, did these become kind of your main niches?
Lawyers, yes. Restaurant managers were great at the time, was good, but
Yeah.
as my practice grew, yeah, not as much anymore. But I would say, the attorneys, I was able to get in with a couple that then could, get me in with different groups. And like I took like you're probably familiar, chambers will have like these leadership classes, and the Orange County Bar Association had a leadership class. They don't do it anymore. I think they did it for 5 years, but like I got invited to partake in that leadership class, and there's other business people, a couple of financial advisors, just people in the community that can be part of it. But you meet a lot of attorneys and judges, and also attorneys seem to think it's pretty cool because now you've shown an interest in what they do. So I'd say attorneys have been a pretty big niche. Other than that, yeah, a lot of business owners, and then really the focus the last 5 to 6 years has been like the retirees to pre-retirees. So I'd say that other niche early on was that young family niche where I was able to get in with a lot. I was able to then get their parents as clients. And yeah, I look at it now, like even growing up, a lot of my friends growing up, their parents are all clients of mine now because they have money, they're retired. Either they had an advisor for a long time and eventually they realized, man, that advisor's around my age and they're probably going to be retiring soon anyway. So kind of need somebody who's been doing it for long enough now that they've made it, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So I've kind of found the sweet spot there. And and that's really the focus these days are still working with a lot of business owners, but mainly the kind of the age 55 and up space. Generally they have at least 500,000 or more that they need help managing. And a lot of times they believe in the delegation of an advisor. They've had one before, and they're knowing that they need to be making a change to somebody else. I just had a client who's also an attorney and a business owner, and her advisor is 82 that she'd worked with for a long time. And she had some money with me, and then she had all the rest of the money with this 82-year-old. And every year for the past like 5 years, I'm like, are they retired yet? What's going on? And then but finally this year, he was like, okay, ready to move that bigger account over to you. So that just happened like a month ago.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very curious when you were making these calls, basically cold calls, what would you say to keep the prospect from slamming the phone on you?
Well, yeah, and like you said, Chris, I don't know how people do it anymore because back, 16, 17 years ago, people would pick up the phone when there was a number that they didn't know, or they didn't even have
Yeah.
caller ID on an office phone or something. So yeah, today for the advisors that are watching and listening that are just brand new in the career, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how to do it today. I know there are some good resources like LinkedIn and obviously like email marketing and other things. And hiring Chris, I think, would probably be a great way to do it as well. But yeah, to answer your question, I was making so many of these calls, and at that point, I'm like failing out of the business. I'm like, okay, I have to be good at something. So I actually started becoming very good at getting people to schedule a meeting with me, and my ratios started getting better and better and better. And it kind of we had scripts and things that we would look at and follow, but I kind of realized there was like 5 or 6 main objections they would always give me. So my goal is if I kind of get them talking, I wanted to try to throw those objections out before they got a chance to do it. So one
Mm.
of them is I'm too busy. So I would always say, like, I know you're really busy, so am I, and kind of go that route. And then another one was I already have an advisor. And, so I would say, like, hey, yeah, Chris, this is Todd Bryant. I Let me think of where I was met you from. Yeah, I noticed that you work at so and so law firm down the street. I pass by there all the time. Listen, Chris, I'm sure you're really busy. You probably already have a financial advisor, but a lot of people value the fact that I can bring in a new, fresh set of ideas or a second opinion of what you're already doing. I know that if there's that big thing going on at the bar next week, maybe afterwards we can meet up for a cup of coffee or something, or maybe the following week. What's best for you? And kind of those types of things. And I'm a little rusty because I haven't made a cold call in 15 years anymore. But I try to just kind of throw it as much as I could that would get them to get them to at least agree to the meeting. Now, keeping a meeting is a lot different story. That's another art form in itself. I've made my assistants when they were confirming appointments. I was like, no, we're not confirming appointments. You're reminding them of the appointment. A confirmation is like, oh yeah, I can get out of a confirmation. But when it's a reminder, it's like, no, we're reminding them of an appointment that they're not getting out of. And small things like that, end up helping over time to keep those
Hmm.
appointments.
Yeah. Well, I'll say if I was a lawyer who you were cold calling, I felt a yes coming to the surface. So,
Yeah, I'm out of practice, like I said, but it would be something like that.
yeah, no, that was great. So you mentioned a big client niche or type of client that you focus on is those folks nearing retirement. How do you get their attention and how do you get on their radar to set up meetings with them?
Yeah, I think the valuable thing about living in Florida is, I think they say that I've never fact checked these stats, but I think, maybe in the United States, there's 10,000 people every day turning 65. And then there's like 10,000 people, I don't know, every day or every year, every month, something moving to Florida. So they're all turning 65. They're all moving to Florida. So especially these past couple of years, we've just had an influx coming in, and I've met tons of people that are new to the community since COVID, that just they were up north somewhere and didn't want to deal with the cold anymore and ready to retire. So I think just through I'm very active within my local community. I have an office in an area in one of the suburbs from Orlando, and there's a great community where I'm walkable to a lot of different coffee shops and restaurants. There's a brewery right next door. So it's kind of like a destination all in itself. I've got clients that will drive. Some of them, they're over an hour away, and they'll drive to come see me here in the office because they want to like hang out at the brewery next door, or go to one of the nice restaurants afterwards or something like that. And they love the area. So I'm able to utilize the area that I'm in with where my office is pretty well for that. And yeah, a lot of it's just referrals, and I'm not necessarily asking for referrals in every meeting, which is what I was trained to do at my first broker dealer. But I'm just trying to make sure that they're having a great experience and they're enjoying the fact that they can, worry less about what their finances look like when they've delegated that to, and let them to be able to, hopefully share that with others and whoever they're hanging out with, and do different things like that.
So be in a cool part of your town that clients want to visit.
That's been helpful, yes, which
Yeah.
which wasn't always the case, but I think my proximity has been valuable to me, and for me personally, it's very close to home. I can walk to both of my kids' schools from my office. I could walk home if I really needed to, but it's if not, it's about 5 minutes. So also being close to that is highly important to me as well.
Hmm. Nice, nice. So are most of your clients in the same geographic area as you?
Yeah, I'd say generally yes. I have, probably like a lot of advisors you speak to. There's kind of clients everywhere. So I think I'm licensed in about 10 different states. The client I was just on the phone with before this said they just sold their house yesterday. They're moving to North Carolina. So I'm already licensed there. I already have clients there. So I do have clients in other places because I found that a lot of the retirees or student retirees, if they're coming from somewhere else, they're moving to Florida. But a lot of the ones that have been in Florida for a long time, they're going to go to Tennessee or the Carolinas or somewhere else for their retirement because they're kind of done with the humidity, and they've done all the beaches and everything. So
Mhm.
I would say generally, yeah, they're in this area, but yeah, there's a lot in like South Florida and yeah, even all over Florida and the Southeast.
Mhm. That's awesome. Have a lot of your meetings shifted to Zoom?
Yeah, we have. I'd say every week I probably do have a few meetings in the office, probably 3 to 4 on average. Like I said, the benefit of the cool place people want to go to and the nice space. But yeah, very few I would say are phone calls anymore, and the majority are still Zoom. So we have meet with clients on a semi-annual schedule in the fall and in the spring. And my assistant, when she schedules the meetings, will always give them the option of, do you want to do a phone call, or Zoom, or in the office? And which of course is a far cry from the days of Todd cold calling in 2008. It was like, where is your office? I'll be there in 15 minutes. Like, I'm just driving around town going anywhere. So now it's basically like, those are your options. If it is a new potential center of influence type thing, yeah, meet with them. Of course, grab coffee or lunch or something like that. But yeah, they give them those three options, and I'd say, yeah, probably 70% of them are going with Zoom. And then if it is a new person we just got referred to, we're really pushing for the in-person meeting, at least for the first couple, as you know, just to really establish the rapport and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, get in-person relationship going. Um,
Yeah.
have you noticed any marketing strategies work really well for you?
Yeah, for me, actually, I've been very active with UCF over the years with our alma mater, and yeah, in the early years, all that really meant was I could maybe get invited to something cool, and then I got like a free lunch when I couldn't afford a lunch otherwise. So that was nice, but then that's really kind of blossomed over the years. I'm on the alumni board now, which there's a great group of people that are involved with that. Season ticket holder for football and basketball, so I'm able to leverage UCF a lot. I'm probably about 45 minutes away from campus, but as an example, I'll be there tomorrow speaking to students, and I'll be there on Friday or I'll be doing a golf tournament for them on Friday for the College of Business. So from a marketing standpoint, getting involved with that's been very helpful. I've been a member of a local business club now here for 15 years, where I've met a lot of people and gotten a lot of clients through that. And in the early days, um, that mentor and friend that I reached out to when I had a lot of struggles that first year, and I started to have a lot more success that second year, he introduced me to something which I don't think any of your other guests have ever used from a marketing strategy. and I used this for several years with a lot of success. I was a trivia host, and my
I
friend
did
was
that
doing
too.
it. Yeah, nice. Oh man.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he was doing it in Jacksonville. The company was expanding down to Orlando, and I started doing that in 2009 when they expanded to Orlando. And within the first month, and I was getting paid to do it, which was great because I needed the money. I was getting free beer. I was 24, 25, so that was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then within the first month, a guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you work in so and so office building, right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen you in the hallway." Happened to be an attorney. And he was like, "Man, if you run your financial practice the way you run this trivia night, I want to work with you." And I was like, "Well, yeah, let's do it." And like the next week, met with the guy, and he became a client of mine. So I called my buddy, and I was like, "Holy crap, this actually works." And I would dress nice. I would still be wearing, like, I wouldn't have the tie on, but I'd have like the kind of the look you've got right now. And so naturally, people, I'm not advertising what I do, but naturally, just people would ask me what I would do. And about 75% of the same people would show up every single week at this bar in a pretty affluent area. And since I would just get to know them over time, I ended up building relationships, and I was getting paid while I was building those relationships. And at that time when I was doing it, I did it for 7 years every week. And I'm at that time, my two biggest clients, actually, I met them at trivia night.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
how was your
That's
experience
wild.
as a
It
trivia
was
host?
fun. Yeah. I don't know if I ever met any clients. I did get some dates out of it though. That was,
Yeah,
that was,
there you
that
go.
was worth
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
I think they paid me like $150 a night. So,
Oh
at the
man,
time definitely needed that money.
I was only getting 100, so I was getting ripped off.
Yeah. And the bartenders would normally, give you a free couple free drinks if you wanted, keep you
Yeah,
loose. So
yeah.
yeah, that's wild, man. What small, what are the odds?
Yeah, no, yeah, because I've been fortunate. I've been interviewed a couple times, and they're like, their minds are blown by that. So you're the first host that's been like, "Oh yeah, I hosted trivia too."
I enjoyed it. It's fun. Um, good comedic training as well.
Yes, yes. I could practice a lot of the stuff I was saying. I could just literally see the joke sailing over the heads of the people in the crowd, and I was like, all right, I gotta tone down that joke a little bit. But I do have speaking back to retirees, it's a group of women. I think you either have to be 65 or 70 to be in this group, and they hire every February. They hire me for a private event. They do an annual trivia night, and they keep hiring me. We're like 8 years in at this point, I think. And even though I don't do the trivia anymore, I'm still like every February I'll get an email probably pretty soon about it, just like, "Hey, we need you back for February." And so it's great. They pay me to do it. And again, I'm in a room full of prospects that, like
Right.
me and ask about my kids and all that type of stuff. So
That might be the most unique and also effective client finding strategy we've heard so far.
that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you mentioned you're finding large clients. The show's title is the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. So I do enjoy asking, to the extent that you are comfortable sharing. Don't share any specifics that you're not comfortable with. How did you find your largest client?
Yeah, I'd say
Come
going
on,
back,
trivia.
well, there was, yeah, like I said, there was those two from trivia that at the time were my largest clients. And so, yeah, we've got a couple from trivia. Um, there's one that I'm working on right now. We're like in the final stages here, but literally met him networking just like 10, 12 years ago,
Mm,
and just kind of stayed in touch over the years. And similar to another big client I can think of, where it took like probably 7 years of a couple meetings initially. They went with somebody else, stayed in touch like once a year, checked in. How are you guys doing? How's your relationship? And then eventually, like on the seventh year, he wrote me back. He would always write me back, like, "Hey, we're doing well. Thanks for checking in." And then he wrote me back, and I can't remember exactly when that was, but it was around the end of the year. And he's like, "Hey, we're ready for a change. Let's meet in the new year." And then, so that's kind of what you're as an advisor, or someone who's looking to acquire clients in any business. That's always what you want to get, especially at the end of the year. So yeah, I'd say a lot of them just came via networking over time. Another big one I got this year was this similar story, just a friend that has like a local event that he does and been going to the same event for 7 or 8 years now. It's not for a client type thing. It's more social, but you keep showing up and eventually people know what you do and they start to like you. And after the last one, the guy just said, he called me after the event. He's like, "Hey, we didn't get a chance to talk about last night, but I want you to look at my stuff for me." And so yeah, a lot of it, I think, just being consistent, doing the right thing for people, and just kind of building a good reputation and having it pay off over the long term.
Wow. Yeah, and then consistently checking in with the person. That's incredible. This is like spanning years, almost a decade. It sounds like to.
Yeah, yeah. For the people listening that have just joined the business, yeah, don't give up.
That's awesome. So, just for the financial planning industry as a whole, you've seen it since before, the last big crash. How do you see this industry evolving over the next, years and decades?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, more opportunities than ever, thanks to technology and the use of video and being more comfortable. I mean, I did have quite a few clients where we'd always done stuff over the phone. I had never met them in person, and just through Zoom, we've been able to build better relationships just now that we can see each other instead of just listening to the voice. So I think technology is going to be a big part of that. I look back to like the 90s, and people think of like the Wolf of Wall Street type times when it's stockbrokers and people that are just selling stocks and commission-based advisors. And it's been great to see the shift over the years from commission-based to fee-based. But I think for clients that are paying that fee, there's so many things out there that they could do themselves. And I equate it to like when I bought my first house, the yard was not very big. And as a kid, I used to mow the lawn and stuff. So we buy the house, I look at the lawn, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to pay somebody to do this. I can do it myself. And I got a lawnmower and a hedger and the weed whacker and the fertilizer and the mulch and all of that. And like 3 months into the Florida summer heat, every Saturday dealing with it, I look at the yard and just there's weeds everywhere. It all looks like crap. It's falling apart. I'm sure HOA is going to be calling me soon about it. And I'm like busting my butt every Saturday or Sunday doing this. And I was like, you know what? This is not worth it. And, for me, it was a pretty easy phone call to make. And it was, pay a monthly fee that you don't have to worry about anymore. But in our business, I look at that a lot, where just delegating that to somebody else, I think they need more than just investment management, because I think they can get investment management at a lot of different places, or they can do it themselves online. But a lot of it is the behavioral counseling. And I think for my clients, we made so much money for them in 2020 because March and April of 2020, market quickly tanks by 30%. I had back-to-back meetings with clients for probably 8 weeks, just talking them off the ledge, letting them know like, hey, I know that your portfolio is taking a big drop very quickly, but the world's not ending. If the world does end, then money's not going to matter anyway. But the world's not ending, and it will come back. And I had several clients where literally they were ready to just move into all bonds or move all cash, and probably would still be sitting there right now. And within those next couple of months, we saw the market come back, and then end the year really strong. And I had people calling me to thank me later in the year, just saying like, thank you so much for just being the voice of reason, putting things in perspective, and helping them that way. So behavioral coaching is a huge part of what we do. Tax planning, I'm not a CPA, I'm not filing their taxes for them, but we have used tax planning and tax efficient investment strategies, and looking at pre-tax, after tax, all of that is part of what we do as well. In addition to looking at like their estate planning, their insurance, risk management, all of those different things, where that's where I think that the advisors need to evolve, just from basically doing one thing where they could probably do it themselves, to being able to offer many different things, and being looked at really as a financial coach to them, where they can go to for any type of questions. And I always ask my clients, or tell my clients, feel free to reach out to me about anything. If I don't have the answer, I'll get you the answer. I'll have a resource for you. And I think that's what they need more now more than ever, and that's what we need to be offering to them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know many chat bots or robo advisors that will make you feel better and listen to you and all that. So then, until they make one like that, I think the financial advisory industry is safe. So
Yeah.
uh, awesome. So we're coming towards the end of our time. I could definitely ask you questions for the rest of the afternoon, but I will respect your time. So my final question is an open-ended question. You can take it in any direction that you like. And the question is, what are you working toward?
Good question. There were things that I wanted to accomplish this year. I've been fortunate to have some pretty cool things that I was able to do. I was able to be interviewed at NASDAQ at Times Square earlier this year, which was pretty awesome, and then be part of a book that came out called More Than Money: Real Life Stories of Financial Planning with a group of about 28 other financial advisors earlier this year. So yeah, I had author on the list that I was looking to accomplish. I think I came to the conclusion over the past couple of years that I can only help so many people. And, we've had as a firm, we have to continue to kind of raise the minimums that we look for a client relationship, for a new client relationship. And, I can't really help every single person, but I figure through doing things more like public speaking and, being guests on podcasts and being in books and other things, that again enables you to expand that reach a lot more. So exactly what you're doing when you're coaching advisors who thus will have that bigger impact on people and providing services for them. I'm trying to do the same thing to be able to kind of grow that outreach and help more people in that way, because I know that I'm not going to be able to take on all of them as clients, or either the service is going to go down, or we're going to hire more people, or I'm going to see my family less, and those are sacrifices I'm not going to make. So I think that's what the big picture is moving forward, is to continue to be able to find ways to spread the word.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. And bonus question, how's your UCF night themed golf cart doing?
Doing pretty good. Luckily, I was able to get that custom made by a buddy of mine, and yeah, we've had to get a little work done from here. We had to get a new tire a couple months ago and everything, but the kids actually go to school on that pretty much every day, so they're really spoiled on that lifestyle. I joke with my wife, we need to get a second golf cart so I can actually use it, because normally her and the kids that are on it all the time. So
Yeah.
if people see a Signature Wealth Partners themed golf cart around town sometime in the near future, that would be me.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that. Awesome. Todd, so where can our audience find out more about you?
I'd say LinkedIn is something I've been pretty active on over the years. So if we can connect on LinkedIn, it's Todd A. Bryant. Twitter is also Todd A. Bryant as well. And our website is yoursignaturewealth.com, and you can get my bio and my contact info on there.
Awesome. We'll be sure to link all those URLs in the show notes. Todd, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. This was awesome.
Yeah, Chris, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And you're the first oh no, I'm sorry, you're the second UCF night. We've had one other.
First UCF night and former trivia host first.
There you go. There you go. First trivia host. That may stand the test of time as well. Um awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Keep on growing out there, everybody.